In this lesson, we're going to talk about the business application development. Oddly enough, we don't give that an acronym because if we did, it'd be cool. It'd be BAD. Anyway, what it does is, if you think about it, it can cost a company a lot of money, a lot of resources to be able to develop and acquire and integrate and maintain application systems, especially when they're a part of their key business process. Now, the systems, likely are controlling very critical information and assets, and they should be effectively managed and controlled. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the implementation of the software development lifecycle, we call the SDLC, and how that works with business applications. So when we consider our goal is probably the development of an application, of a system that's going to work for us, like any application development, it should start with a feasibility study. Now, you're going to choose to use a feasibility study, not just for new software, but it might be because you have a new opportunity for a new business or to change existing business. You might be utilizing a new feasibility study to solve problems that relate to existing business processes, or maybe an opportunity to take advantage of a new technology, or to address problems that you have with your current technology. Now, these situations are often combined with your key business drivers, which can be defined by the attributes of a business function that drive the behavior and implementation of that function to be able to achieve a business goal. So think about that, right? The term driver means we're trying to drive new business or to make the business better. And so these situations that may launch a feasibility study, as I said, are driven because of these needs to work with the behavior and the implementation of a function to help get to those business goals. Using SDLC and SMART as an approach will give you a benefit where all the parties involved should have a common and clear understanding of what the objectives are and how they can contribute to the business. Now, one risk that can be realized in this process is that the outcome of the objectives might not have all been met. So to reduce the risk that a project might not meet those final requirements, developers can use the following types of development models to help try to achieve that. Now let me just draw the picture. If I know I need a program or a system to do something, I could just hire Ken and say, hey, I need you to make this program for me, and this is what I want. And I can say, oh, okay, so you want to do this. All right, that's great. In fact, I remember I had somebody come to me and ask me for that very type of a thing. But, that's because they thought, being in the computer world, I must be all knowledgeable about programming. And what they wanted was a way if they ran a school bus company. And they wanted to be able to keep track of how many students come on and come off, keep track of averages, where the stops were, how long each stop took, and was hoping to use that information to plan better routes for the buses. Okay, first of all, there's a lot of pre-made software that would do that. It was just expensive, and they didn't want that investment. And I thought, but I keep that in the back of my mind. I think, okay, that example is kind of really good when I have these discussions about the application development process. Because here's the thing, I could have just, and they wanted me to develop this in Microsoft Access because that was the database program that they had. Okay, so kind of cheap all the way around there, hoping they never watched this video. Anyway, so here's the thing. I could have just started programming, right? I could have said, well, I'll make a database and we'll start putting in these values, and with no concept of how that data interrelates with each other. And what the user interface has to look like, so that when the bus drivers entered their information, or whatever data entry person entered the information, if it would work for them, if it was intuitive, or it would make sense. And that's kind of an ad hoc approach. And when I was done, if I had finished it, if I had actually done it, but when I was done and I delivered this, there's no guarantee from that kind of unplanned method of just trying it that it would meet the business needs. So using a development model is designed to try to reduce the risk that the end result won't meet all of the needs of the company. One of those is the waterfall model, which works with the design lifecycle as a process of verification. It's an approach to determine if there are mistakes and if they can be corrected early enough. So again, you kind of think of it, right? I hit the one stage, one kind of a checkpoint in the working of this program. We evaluate it, look to make sure everything's working, and then go on to the next stage, the next stage. The verification validation model, sometimes called the V model, works on the relationships between the element phases and the testing phases. And then there's also a more granular testing model called the unit test, which occurs immediately after a program has been written.